Alrighty, folks, as I promised, I wanted to redo a little bit about service dogs. As you know, it's a two-way street. So, you help the dog depends on you, you depend on the dog. So, you know your responsibilities, and it would be good to make a list of things that you know you have to do for the dog. The dog already knows what he or she needs to do for you, and that's excellent. It's out of routine, it's out of training that they do what they do. However, sometimes you might need to retrain them a little bit and tighten their skills. So, the trainer will assist you in positive reinforcement, so that the dog, they need tightening a little bit, as they go through their time with you. So it's having like a 2-year-old. So sometimes a 2-year-old needs some reinforcement and to practice a certain skill, or if you want them to learn a new skill, so they can learn, new things that you would want them to do for you. Now, I'm going to get a little technical here for service dogs. And this is, if you're going to take your service dogs out with you, it's going to be really important for the service dog. You don't have to have a vest on the dog, but I'm recommending it. You do not have to have, there is no such thing as certification for service dogs. Absolutely none. Registration, you can register your dog, but it's not required. What is required is good behavior in public. What is required is, a dog that is clean, that is sociable, that doesn't bark, doesn't lunge at people. It has to have citizen type training, and that it doesn't get distracted by other people trying to pet it, and that's why on my service dog I always had a vest, and it said, please do not pet, I'm working. So it's sometimes people sometimes when I was in the grocery store, a kid would come running up behind Johnny and grab his butt. And Johnny would look at me pathetically like, help me, I'm being attacked. So it really has to have that citizen type behavior. And when you're in restaurants, they should not be getting on seats, on couches. It really has to be almost perfect type of behavior. And the restaurants and hotels, they do not have permission to ask you, what's your disability? They can ask, what does the dog do for you? So that they can say. If you want to offer, what your disability is and how you work with the dog, that's fine. But you don't have to mention it. I want to say this because I think it's important. Some people like to fancy up their dogs and put hats on them and put beads on them. And I don't recommend that you put anything fancy, any decorations on them. They really need to look professional when they're out in public. And during the holidays also, some people really put, ears on them and fancy this and fancy that. When the dog is out in public, you have their vest and that's it. They need to look like, they're working and they have, all the credentials needed, in that vest, and that's it. People who are blind, you'll see that they just have their harness and that's it. They don't put anything else on that dog because they need to look professional. Not with a whole bunch of satchels and beads and other things that I've seen service dogs wearing. It's like the poor dog. The dog doesn't care. The dog only cares about one thing, and that is you and the service that they need to provide. I've seen other people, put their service dogs, because some service dogs are small. They, put that service dog on a seat in a restaurant, and that's absolutely not correct. They should never do that. The dog needs to be close to them, yes, if it's a diabetic, or if it's a diabetic, or a, blood pressure type dog, they can be small. Hearing dogs can also be small, and they need to be still on the floor, underneath the table where they're not seen. And, where they're out in public, you're sitting at a table in a public area, they should be under the table, not to be seen. They shouldn't be barking at all to other people, other dogs. That is really crucial for you to know. They shouldn't growl at themselves at mirrors either. My dog did that once. We were in a hotel. Oh, we were at a hotel? No, we were at a restaurant. And I sat down. He was underneath the table, but there was a mirror. And he was facing the mirror and started growling. And one of the people next to me said, ma'am, your dog is growling at the mirror. So I had Johnny turn around, and that was the end of that. But I didn't know he growled at himself in a mirror. And that's one thing you have to practice with your service dog. If they do that, you need to correct them. So, but please, do not put anything on your service dog other than the vest. They need to look absolutely professional, and, so people don't suspect. I've seen people have all kinds of things on their service dog, hanging from their service dog, and of course people are going to doubt it's a service dog because they have all this stuff hanging on them. Yeah, no comment. So I just ask that your service dog look professional anytime they go out. And for them to have the proper behavior when they go to hotels, when they go to restaurants, it's really important, really, really important. You need to make sure that when you're working with a trainer, that this service dog has good behavior in hotels, restaurants, at your job, at a store, at a grocery store, absolutely. Because if it starts misbehaving, you can get kicked out. If it's barking and causing a ruckus, it's better for you to leave than someone kicking you out. So that's really important. You can get kicked out if the dog starts pulling at you, making a mess. You are responsible 100% for that dog's behavior. So, that's one thing that you need to practice with the dog and in public, and make sure that everything goes well. And praise the dog, when you leave the hotel, or when you leave the hotel with a store, so it knows that that's what you want to see in their behavior when you go in. So some dogs out there and some owners, because it's really not the fault of the dog, it's really the owner who needs to really be in charge. And for that dog to know you are in charge and your expectation is XYZ. So good behavior, a vest, and nothing else. Nothing else hanging from that dog. Certification does not exist in the United States. It really doesn't. So if somebody asks you, what about your certification? There is none. It doesn't exist. Registration, you can register the dog, but they're going to ask you for a fee. And, it's okay if you want to register the dog in some website, but you don't have to. And listen to me on this one. The ADA does not require registration, and it does not require certification. Neither of those things really exist for service dogs. If you want to register, I had Johnny registered in one of the national sites, which was fine if somebody really pushed my buttons, but they could look it up. But yeah, Johnny was a great service dog, and there was no need for anybody to suspect that he wasn't. It is problematic when people bring their pets to stores and pets to grocery stores and bring their pets to, drives me crazy. But your dog needs to be the example of a great service dog because of the way you behave, because of the way the service dog behaves. You need to look like a team that's working excellent. I've seen all the bad examples. Oh my goodness. And then they try to pass as a service dog. Try to pass. I think that if it is a real service dog, but their behavior is just not there yet, then don't take them out until they're really ready. And have a trainer take a look at the behavior and make sure that everything is working, because some people train their own service dogs. And sometimes it works, sometimes it really doesn't. And when they go out in public, it's a huge problem. So just know that there are people who train their own dogs, doesn't work out, and their behavior is awful out there. And so then you come along, and then, of course the hotel or the restaurant is going to be, doubting and concerned and, but you need to look like an absolute team and do everything that you need to do when you're outdoors, and for the dog to do everything that they need to do when they're out in public. So just so you know, whatever agency you go through, and my recommendation is you go through an agency because they have all the equipment and the training to help your dog get from point A to point B. All right, so let's talk about indoors. When you're home and you're gonna go to work or you're gonna just relax, you can take the vest for the dog off. And so they know they're off service and they can relax and just lie down on the couch with you. If there's going to be a lot of guests coming, then you might want to put the vest back on so people don't come and pet it. It needs to know when it's okay to be petted and when it's not. So when that vest is on, they know they're on duty. And when it's off, then they can, play around, and they need playtime. So it's good for you to have, a clean place so you can go out with the service dog and just play, either ball fetching or whatever. When they come back in the house, they need to, kind of calm down. My dog sometimes would get the zoomies, and that was an issue because we were in a small apartment. So he would just go crazy. But then I would take him outside so he could just, jump around and be playful. So, but if I let him off the leash, he would not play. It was crazy. He would not play. Sometimes he would, jump around a little bit, but if I went where there was other dogs, he would not budge. He would just sit there right next to me. So I guess that was his training. So, yeah, find a little field where it's just you and the service dog so you can play fetch and whatever else he wants to do. So exercise is really important. So when they are on duty, they're very restrained and, behaving. So they don't get much exercise that way. But so you have to schedule some playtime for them so they can stretch and be a dog. So Anyhow, if you have any questions about this type of video and the things that I said, just please put a message down below and I'll be happy to answer.